Namibia Tourism Board is a national agency established by Act of Parliament. It's basically a government agency which is responsible in promoting tourism within Namibia and internationally, as well as to regulate the tourism industry. And as you could be aware or well aware, definitely with the onset or the advent of COVID-19, which was unexpected and at the presented levels, it caught us unaware. And obviously, not only us in Namibia, but I guess the tourism at large globally. And that required us to have a different thinking at the same time that government is trying to balance the health of the nation as well as that of the economy of the country, which tourism is one of the key particular pillars in the Namibian economy. And government found it in its wisdom to restart tourism. I missed all things still happening at that point in time back in June. And since then, we've been working on or have worked on regulations to ensure that the travelers are also safe when they are traveling to Namibia, which actually follows the international trend that we needed to only allow entries to people who have a PCR test that is 72 hours, not older than 72 hours. But at the same time, as a tourism industry, we've worked very closely with the private sector and UNWTO to come up with what we call the tourism safety protocols and guidelines. This was basically a toolkit to assist the private sector to prepare themselves in terms of tourism revival initiative to ensure that the safety and hygiene of both the employees and the guests are being maintained, so that they could then ensure full compliance, so that we could give assurance to government that as much as the government is reviving the tourism industry, the industry would not be the one that in a way contributes to any resurgence of infection rates and transmissions in Namibia. And that seems to have worked very positively. And ever since then, international travelers have been traveling to Namibia because we do not require them to be self-isolating or quarantined unless they test positive in Namibia whilst they are in country. But as long as they have a negative PCR test, they are free when they are arriving to travel throughout the country. They do not have any restrictions. And that have seen an upsurge in an uptake or the appetite by the tourists. The only issue that we've been having difficulty is the airlift, because most of the airlines that used to fly to Namibia have ever since cut down on their flights or have ceased totally operations such as KLM and Qatar. We only currently are being serviced by Ethiopian Airlines, which have reduced its frequencies, as well as the Eurowings out of Europe, which also has a very limited frequencies flying into Namibia. So that seems to be the bottleneck in terms of the total tourism revival. But having said that, since bulk of our tourists are coming from European source markets, such as UK, Germany in particular, with the resurgence of infection rates in there, it has actually then took us another knock and setback again in terms of the tourist arrivals. But we did not only decided to continue to depend solely on international travelers, we found it also equally important to work with the private sector to regenerate and rejuvenate the domestic market. And surely during this festive season, December to January, quite a number of Namibians have been traveling for the probably first time in big numbers within their own country, because the trend has always been that the Namibians were traveling abroad, but with these limitations, it was very difficult for them to travel abroad, but they needed to also travel because of restrictions that we had and the lockdown and the holiday seasons with the kids. And that has improved immensely, that in fact, in the difficult times, the domestic market also can assist the tourism industry in continuing to survive. So that's the major gist of it. But as we are now moving into 2021, in terms of transiting, it's still a challenge because we do not have a global compass as to how this pandemic will still unfold, given the second variant type that has recently been detected in South Africa, which has different interpretations as to its impact and implications. However, as an institution, we are looking at embracing social media and digital platforms to continue to really call on people to keep Namibia still at the top of their mind in the event that tourism restarts, because I know, for example, UK just did a hard lockdown up until end of March. So, however, we have to continue still messaging that Namibia is still a safe destination given the number of population size that we have and the vastness and different locations of the attractions that we have. It lends itself naturally to social distancing and definitely the safety, because government is also robustly working on measures to try and even reduce, although infections are resurging again in Namibia. So it's a very tough and compelling call that we have. But to keep the Namibia at the top of the mind of the would-be travelers is a key essential ingredient for us to work on.